Oh, yeah, everyone's logging in, he had a facial surgery yesterday, but,
Sorry.
no,
I had.
no, it's all good, it's all, we're glad to see you. So with no further ado, welcome to the public hearing for the 2026 budget. As you know, we've had a series of 3 workshops where we went, the town board, went line by line through the entire budget, and then we went from the preliminary budget, tentative budget to the preliminary budget. So this is the preliminary budget, at which point we do have a public hearing and seek public input. We're always seeking public input, but by New York State law, there has to be a specific public hearing. And so this is the chance for the public to speak to the town board and for us to listen and to garner feedback. So I would like to welcome you all, and I think we're ready to listen. If you don't know, Rob Patterson, our accountant, is joining us today. And would anyone like to start the ball rolling? It's a shot. Brandon? Okay.
Ask, what did you come up with, and what do we want to know about as
well, this is the town board really doesn't speak too much during this. This is for you to comment on the posted budget. So yeah, yeah, the budget's right there.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to
have
it? Yes.
Yeah, have one.
He's not being let in.
He is, I think, on a different Zoom.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm sending him a text right now.
Correct.
Because they think you're us. Okay. Situation.
So whenever you're ready, we're here.
There's nothing for the fire districts.
Right, now we have some fire members here. The fire districts have their own timetables. We've not received the numbers yet, but how that works. I think, Rabina, correct me if I'm wrong, the county pays the fire district direct. So it doesn't affect our budget numbers, but it by law, it has to be listed on what Hillsdale's share is. Hillsdale covers, how many municipalities do you cover? Do you charge any other municipalities?
No,
COVID, right.
That's why it's still COVID.
Right, and Philmont is in here, right?
Yeah.
They take care of part of Harlanville. So that's, Philmont is the early bird. They take care of part of Harlanville, some of the calls there. So again, this doesn't affect any of the numbers that are afterwards, because it's into the county, out from the county.
And the Perryville Fire Department budget too.
Yes, Prairieville, obviously there's a section of Hillsdale, they're my fire company, probably yours. So, I'm sorry. Austerlitz, yeah. We're expecting those numbers shortly. Should be.
Mike, I'm on now.
Oh, hey, Aaron.
I know
I
Fred
made it.
was passed.
God bless, thank you for logging in. I'm sorry, say that again,
Hillsville's was passed, Prairieville's was passed, but
but they have
I
not.
haven't heard back from Austerlitz or from.
Yeah, they send them to the county and then they send them to us.
Right.
Okay. Right, so we should,
Puts them on the,
right, Bob will
Yeah,
add
once I
that.
receive the budgets.
Yeah.
That's all just flow through money.
yeah,
Coming into the town goes out dollar for dollar, so.
right.
Right, money well spent.
So the new budget is almost 1.5, up from almost 1 million.
That is, I believe, correct. And that's the front page here, yeah,
Quite a significant increase percentage wise.
yes.
Why is that?
Perfect.
It's for the first time, we're listing our capital projects. If you go to the, this is the suggestion of our accountant. This page here. We also have a culvert listed. In order for the state to have a better understanding of our true financial status. We are listing known capital projects that are on the docket, for the upcoming year. Again, this is a budget and it is subject to change, but at the time, this is, what we're looking at. So that's a large part of it.
Can you just clarify your question?
Well,
Did he answer your question?
I have more questions, so. it's-
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
So with an increase of, it looks like 50%. That's because we're now looking at our capital projects in an.
As a part, correct, right? Yeah.
Budgeting for the.
Budgeting for
projects.
them.
So. I guess my question is that gonna be reflected in the taxes of us, the people?
Well, for the first time in 10 years, we are proposing a 3%. It's $30,000 adjustment in the total of the cap of the tax base.
$30,000.
Right.
And that's off of the property taxes.
It's off of,
$811,000, that's.
Revenue line, yeah,
Yeah.
property taxes. But that's split with the highway department.
Okay, so where's like the $30,000 doesn't seem like that's gonna fill the $500,000 increase.
No.
Where does the rest come from?
Sales tax. Which is, the reason, the 30,000 was proposed is because all the other revenues are variable. We can never truly say how much sales tax, when COVID hit,
Sales tax went to the ground.
well, no, opposite.
Yeah.
Really?
The expectation was that we're gonna be, and everyone's gonna be in debt, and then it did the exact opposite, it
Wow.
soared. So, but property taxes are the only revenue line, basically, that we could say, this is the amount that we know that's gonna come in, and we have not. Had an adjustment in over 10 years, which means we were not keeping, pace with the rate of inflation. So this $1 million of property taxes, in 10 years ago, it's now worth $700,000. And if we had been keeping pace with inflation, it would be 1.3. We now know that upcoming projects are gonna be potentially more expensive, because of material cost and what's going on. So,
And another large piece of that, sorry. Mike.
yeah, please.
If you look at the end of the revenues on that first page, on the first page of the general fund budget. Down at the bottom, it says appropriated fund balance. If you look at that number, 574,000 and change, that's actually taking surplus from prior years to offset the budget. So a large portion of those, pretty much all of the capital expenditures are being paid for by appropriated fund balance, prior year surplus.
So where does that put us for the future?
Puts you right about in line with the fund balance policy that was drafted by the board and adopted in 2021. Puts you at about 50 to 60% fund balance of the annual budget.
No, I'm sorry, my question is, if we're going to pay the increase of this year's budget with previous year's surplus,
Yeah,
what does that leave us for?
it still leaves us within the realm
50
of,
to 60% of surplus that you're
as a
carrying.
buffer,
I see,
Yeah,
as a buffer.
I see.
What's the actual dollar amount of that?
of the surplus,
So what's the ending
as of, give me a date, it's just over $1 million at the end of September. I think about 1.1 million.
Right.
There's a surplus.
And our policy is to keep 50 to 60% of our operating budget
Right.
in reserve, and that.
And then that's on like the lower end, but it is a policy, so it's a guideline. It's not a law.
Right.
There's a difference.
So we're still maintaining our,
With his question, it's
Yeah.
related to.
Okay, I'm not quite done yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's related to
Okay.
what you asked earlier, but so where is the 3% increase reflected? The
Uh,
revenue line property tax.
Property taxes, adopted budget 2025 is 182, preliminary budget is 187, so that's an increase of about 5,000 if you go to the highway.
Okay. So
you
those
would
are
see
the
the
two,
same. Yeah.
those are the two lines, and
Correct.
that is $30,000.
Correct.
Okay,
And the proposal is to raise taxes 3% across the board on all property owners to make up for.
It doesn't work that way, it's not that simple, it's,
Well,
because,
what kind of increase are we looking at?
well, we're gonna raise $30,000 more, but the pot is, you might need to jump in.
I don't wanna get into it.
Yeah, yeah,
Our tax
no, the-
levy is I mean, that's.
Tax revenue is
45
based
units in
on
itself.
how many homes there are in Hillsdale, what the appraised value is, so it's a kind of an intricate.
So it's not a percentage across the
It's
board.
not,
The levy itself.
the levy
is-
itself is,
Yeah.
but what the
The way
individual,
that's dispersed throughout, once it filters through out to the tax bills could be different.
Yeah.
based on different exemptions, right?
Okay,
You're gonna have.
exemptions and.
Property
and-
values,
property.
If your assessed value is 500,000 and mine is 300,000, obviously there's a difference there and.
Yeah.
who's
Well,
gonna
the
burden the tax
percentage,
bill?
I mean, if mine was assessed for 500,000 and yours for 3, would our percentages change? I mean, what you're saying makes sense if there's exemptions, but then.
There's
Right,
also
would there be
the-
a reflective number,
the-
taking that into consideration, that
Generally
it won't
speaking,
be 3%, it'll be 4?
generally speaking, it does go 3% across the board,
Right.
generally speaking.
But also there, instead of splitting it between 10 householders, you're now probably splitting it between 18 householders or whatever
Things
that
happen
number
on the
is.
tax roll
You know,
throughout the
people have been
year.
added to the tax rolls, so, yeah.
But it is it's a good point to make, and it's something that in Hillsdale, we should actually consider when we're raising taxes. Because I think we have a pretty high percentage of actual like exemptions in our community. We have farm exemptions, we have forestry exemptions. Whereas if we lived in suburban Westchester, you wouldn't have that type of, that number of exemptions in your tax base. So when we raise when we raise taxes, it's impacting a smaller, I would argue it's likely impacting a smaller percentage of taxpaying households. Because
Yeah.
of the number of exemptions in a community like ours.
Well, I mean, ultimately, that just
And-
means
and-
that the people without exemptions are gonna pay more.
Yeah, and to that point, like this year and last year, I think was the first years that the town started actually including the total exemption report, right, which we're supposed to do. That you can actually see all of the exemptions in Hillsdale, and you'll see there are,
It's in.
I
the budget.
think, well over 100 agricultural exemptions. So, you know, it's
So
what exists here.
besides raising money, are we looking at ways to not raise the percentage of sales tax, but raise the percentage, I mean, the revenue overall by increasing, tourism to our town? Helping out, working with the local businesses,
Yeah,
cost cutting measures for the capital projects that seem to be a huge part of it.
Sure.
Okay, so what do we do?
So with sales tax, it's based on population. That's how it's dispersed. It doesn't matter if Hillsdale had a main street that pulled in $5 billion a year, it would still pull in the sales tax amount based on population
of the county.
of the county as a whole. Yes,
So it all goes into a big pot.
Right,
It
yes.
doesn't matter what we do as a town.
correct,
Because we're sharing with everyone else and vice versa.
correct.
And we still want to promote our businesses, obviously, and, because that will help our costs.
And what about cost cutting measures for the capital projects?
Well, that's all done by a sealed bid process.
I know, and what I'm saying is that before it gets to the sealed bid part of it, because I understand how the
Mhm.
bidding process works.
Right,
That outside professionals come up with a budget, and that's our baseline. And then people, whatever the lowest bid is,
yeah,
whatever.
that sounds good.
But I'm saying that very often, especially when people don't have a horse in the race. They're very loose with how much things will cost. And things, Regina, you're shaking your head no?
No, our engineers work on these projects. The town engineers work on these projects,
Well,
and they give us,
CPL,
Town
CPI is
engineer.
a town engineer.
aren't they an outside contractor? I
Yeah.
mean, right,
Well,
But we
we have a
designate.
maintenance agreement with them.
sure, but I'm saying that if taxes get
There's
raised,
rules and regulations for sealed bids or any kind of bid to the town. And the regulation is that you have to pay prevailing wage or be prepared to be paying prevailing
of
wage.
course,
And there has to be a contingency. And that's what bumps up the
Yeah.
prices
I
and
think
stuff.
he's confusing building contractor with an engineering contractor. He'd be able to not do the work.
no, I understand that, but they set the budget. But they think.
No, they don't,
They don't
they
say-
don't.
They don't
set
give
the
a
budget.
guesstimate on
No,
what it should be, because
no, that's all done through the bidding process, they say, we want X, Y, and Z done, and we could say, well. We don't want Z done because we think it's gonna be too expensive, we can do that, but once the X, Y, and Z is set. That goes out on BidNet to, hundreds of contractors,
I've seen CPL's work. And I
yeah,
have to say, knowing about prevailing wage and contingencies, very well. Their ideas of what things should cost and how to do things are a little expensive.
okay,
Well,
well,
we-
they don't,
Yeah, the sidewalk, for instance, it wasn't them, it was
GPI.
GPI. The sidewalk we had the sidewalk, we had it with concrete curbs, we had it with granite curbs. We had it with seating, we had it without seating, we had it with historic lighting, without historic lighting, so there's like variations on a theme, so. We got a base quote for the sidewalk, and we upped it for granite, because we could afford it, and then the lighting and the seating actually fit in quite well with what we had to spend.
Yeah.
So
And I mean-
that's how you organize it.
Yeah, and the RFP process is a public process. I mean, the RFPs are reviewed in a public forum before this board, right? And also the contract, the final contract is also reviewed in a public forum before it's signed by Mike Dvorak. So if there were any ideas that you had or another person had, cost-cutting measures or ways to address a project, I mean, these are public projects, so you can provide that input. I mean, you have some expertise in this area, so I mean, volunteer your input. It's a public process.
That's great, I will. And my point is, if we're talking about raising taxes, because we need the money, and we need the money, we have to raise the taxes. We should be doing everything possible to
Absolutely.
save money and,
Absolutely,
you know,
Guys, the one backdrop, just give me a second,
Yeah.
is that we have not raised taxes in over 10 years.
I understand that.
Unbelievable, because you know, anything else thrown.
I said, if we need the money, we need the money.
yeah,
Well,
You know,
So-
but I'm just saying, along with raising taxes.
Yes.
We
right,
should be being extra diligent about each dollar
absolutely,
that we spend.
absolutely. I'm gonna be conscious of the time and let, some others, Matt, did you, or Steve, or?
Well, I'll just say that, first of all, I want to start by saying thank you all for serving. I know it's not easy, and your work is appreciated, even though I think it's rarely stated. But I appreciate you, and I know a lot of people in town here, so thank you for serving. I clearly, prices have gone up everywhere. I think, I personally have seen so many improvements to the town in recent years that I have not seen in a long, long time, so again, hats off to that work. If there are budget increases, I feel pretty confident you are going to keep them under control. But I am all for supporting our town more. So if we can push the numbers to get good things in Hillsdale, I'm 1,000% behind it, and so if the budget goes up, I feel like I think we're in good hands with all of you. And I support increases where they make sense.
Thank you.
To
Amy?
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Just wanted to share from other folks in town saying this time for a public hearing is very challenging for a lot of people, so I don't know in the
Okay.
future.
This is the biggest crowd we've ever had at a public hearing for a
Yeah, well,
budget.
Again,
I'm just giving you that feedback. You've never had a
They
crack.
have Given you feedback from the
Okay.
people that said.
And I'm just
work
pointing out.
And
the-
their feedback. So, anyway, that's fine. The other thing I appreciate, Brandon, your comments, because you had some of my questions that I've had. So my understanding then is the fund, we've had too much in the fund balance and that the.
Not too much.
Not too much.
Well, above our
There-
policy.
Well, towns are not restricted to the amount of fund balance they can have. So I wouldn't say too much, I would say there was a surplus. And that's why the town board moved toward using that surplus to offset the current year.
Okay, so we're taking like the 560 roughly
Yeah.
thousand from the appropriated, from the fund balance.
Correct.
And then the balance will be then roughly 500,000?
Yeah, projected out to year end, I figured there's probably gonna be about $650,000 in what would be called unappropriated fund balance.
But we still have 4Q sales tax that,
Right, and those are the things that we can't, like
Right.
that. Saying that there's gonna be 650 left unappropriated is a conservative low end number. Not knowing what the fourth quarter sales tax will be that comes at the beginning of the year. That's applied to this current fiscal year.
right,
And just so I can understand, because then we have 150,000 use of reserves, do you mind just explaining the difference?
That
between-
is salt, is that?
Oh, yeah.
Salt shed reserves?
salt shed reserves, currently our Hamlet Park, every time there's a subdivision, there's an $825 fee. That has been accumulating, we all have almost $90,000 that is reserved specifically for town parks, doesn't have to be a Hamlet Park, but a town park. The West End Bridge, this is not a technical reserve, but we know that the match is gonna be, 5% of, $1.2 million. We decided the comprehensive plan was definitely something we wanna show any grant writer that we're serious about it, so, we are, we're putting $25,000 in the budget for when the grant
And
writer
I
comes.
get that in concept, I was confused by 150, then we see over here it's 384, so I have trouble just reconciling the numbers. And then just another question on this, and to have other questions, was just then, the 300,000 coming from the general fund to the highway department,
Mhm.
where is that coming, is that from appropriated fund balances?
That's from
That's
appropriate.
part of the 500.
Okay. Okay, and again, that's for predominantly the culvert on Mitchell Street.
It's 170, I mean, it's for the entire highway budget, so that's part of it, but.
And to say specifically that part of that appropriated is money going to highway, it is in the expense side, there's $300,000 going out to highway. But you could look at the budget and say, well, that's sales tax revenue that the general fund's not gonna use. So it's not specific to that appropriated fund balance necessarily.
Okay,
There's a transfer that could go out if certain expenditures need to be met for the highway fund throughout the year. So it's not a guaranteed $300,000 transfer out the door. It just depends on what comes up that's needed for throughout the year.
okay, but the culvert is not considered a capital project,
It is not, I asked Bob about this, and it's,
That's a replacement, so it's kind of borderline what it could be determined. If it's, and it's not necessarily like a long-term project that span over a fiscal year.
okay, okay. But go ahead, Brandon, I have another.
I don't wanna cut you off,
You have a follow-up on that topic.
Just going back to what we were saying about the bidding process.
Mhm.
You mentioned the West End Road Bridge for 1.25 million, yes?
Mhm.
Where'd you get that number from?
That was, an estimate provided, well, that was, for the grant application. That
Who
was,
provided the estimate,
it was before my time,
CPL.
CPI,
which is what I was saying.
right, but that was purely for grant purposes.
However, when you are a bidder, like you
Right.
said, I am familiar with the bidding process.
Yeah,
There's something called the engineer's estimate, and that's that 1.25 million that
Right.
you stated.
okay,
Everyone who's bidding on the project sees that number.
right,
So then they're.
As does the grant writer,
That's where they're starting
as
at.
does the grant writer.
I understand.
So if you want $1.2 million, you can't go to bid and say, this is only cost $400,000, because we're really gonna scrimp and scrape. But the grant writer, you have to go in and say, we want $1.2 million because we wanna do it right. And then in the bidding process, you can cut it back. But if you're going for a grant, you can't nickel and dime. That's not how the grant processing works. And quite frankly, we now on alert that 1.2 million estimate is way out of line. That is a conservative, unrealistic estimate. It's just not gonna work.
So I understand what you're saying about the grant process. So
Right.
how much of the 1.25 million is coming from grant? And how much is increasing?
95%.
Okay. Great.
Okay. I know,
I'm just trying to,
I know,
because
it's-
honestly,
2 years in, I'm still learning and,
I hate to contradict you.
okay,
But when you're looking me in the face and you're
Yeah.
saying, with all honesty,
right,
that 1.25 million
right.
is way under budget or way
With the
conservative,
cost of materials, yeah.
I'll do it for $1 million tomorrow.
Well, then you can bid on it.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's,
Well-
but no, it would-
Great,
what I'm saying is, without even looking at the drawings, the number is, but again, if it's coming from, if it's going to the grant writer, I have nothing
great,
else to
I
say.
agree, if we get a lower.
95%.
If we get a lower bid, believe me, we will take it, unless
great.
they're not,
And the balance of the money goes back into the town fund
the balance
The
of.
balance of.
Yeah.
of the savings, if you were to save.
No.
on-
Well, no,
you
because
the
we wouldn't
grant.
get the grant is reimbursable, we
You
don't
give it back
spend
to
it,
the, goes back to the government.
well, we never take it.
Never come
We
in.
never
It-
take it.
yeah, so you don't get to draw.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, we
reimbursable,
would-
they don't give us a check for $1 million, we give them checks and they reimburse us,
Alright.
so. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, sorry, Amy, sorry,
And for these state grants, like the scope of work is always altered after
Mhm.
the
yeah,
grant is awarded. So you.
right. Like, we could take a look at
estimate,
that
it could
bridge.
be- It could be anything, I mean.
Yeah, like we could, I haven't delved into the bridge yet, the actual design, but we can say, oh, we don't want gold guardrails, like we did in the grant. So we can pare it down, knowing that,
If
yeah,
95% is being picked up by the state, then I don't see the great
Yeah, they're-
incentive to do that. I'm just concerned with the well-being of the town.
absolutely.
The
I
state
appreciate that.
is
The state.
far out of my hands.
Tell me about it, yeah, absolutely,
So I'm gonna go switch gears just to the CHIPS money and
Mhm.
Richard, so we've got the same amount of CHIPS request money coming in from the state, so state funding for the highway department. And I know that the process is, we have no idea how that's gonna be used right now, because normal process is it will go in January for the 284 agreement. We'll list out what you plan to do, and then the town board needs to approve that. Now, given the timing, because we've had an issue, there are several people, many people throughout town that have not been pleased by having all of our dirt roads paved, which is what some of the CHIPS money is being done, is being used for. Is can we get that information sooner? Because we will, because I think residents need to know if their roads.
Oh, I got subtitles.
And then if the only way to prevent the road from being paved, apparently, is if we provide a gift to the town, which will obviously take more time. So the more time people have to manage this, and to approach, how Richard, you plan to be using the funds, it would be greatly appreciated if we.
I
get
guess the best way to answer that, because we've gone through this for, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 months of meetings. The best way to answer that is that every dirt road is possibly up for
Mhm.
chip seal next year.
Okay, so we should make that assumption, but then how do residents decide how much money they need to raise to gift to the town to?
That's
prevent-
up to the town board. They've,
we have
we
a,
have the committee that.
we did have an
is,
accepted gift at a certain amount per square mile, I'd have to look that up, it's not on the top of my head, but, which is all public and, that's the standard that was set.
It says right here that the 284 agreement should be prepared for the first organizational meeting of the year.
Right,
This is January,
What are you referencing?
yeah,
Cornell Roads Program, and it's also the law.
That
May I
is,
may I see that?
that is a fact, that's a fact.
thank you, Bob.
Yeah, that's on the comptroller
May I
website.
read it?
It's on the comptroller
Yeah, the
website.
284 is
Yeah.
due for the organizational meeting in January.
but so just the challenge is, again, for the public to have the time now to organize and to figure out if they're gonna
Well,
raise
I-
money.
I don't understand
Yeah,
why
so
you
I-
need to wait for the 284.
Says here.
Why can't you start today?
Because then cause we don't know what we're,
You're now put on notice that your road, yeah.
anybody with a dirt road
Yeah.
will be paved and they wish.
Well, no, it's just not that, but if there's that much impetus to possibly give a gift, there's no reason to wait.
And
Yeah.
with that same pot of money,
Mhm.
again, I feel that money can be used for the culverts. I will keep saying that, Richard, until.
And let me use for, hang on a second. I just wanna, here's a stack of emails that I brought from the CAC and,
Sorry, please stop. I'm not speaking on behalf of the CAC. I'm
You know,
speaking.
I'm the chair of the CAC.
Okay.
Sir,
Amy-
don't touch her.
Amy is not authorized to speak on this. She can talk in her
Okay.
personal.
And thank you. I'm
Okay.
speaking in my
All right, let's
personal
just bring it down. It's all good. You're speaking as a personal taxpayer.
As a personal
Gotcha.
taxpayer, because money that's coming from the general fund
Mhm.
is being spent on a culvert. And another option to pay for that culvert is from the CHIPS funding.
Right,
All I am saying is that is an option, and I feel like.
okay.
And I know
Thank you.
you've got your priorities, I'm just saying, it feels like a culvert would be a higher priority than paving a dirt.
I just want to be clear that this particular Mitchell Street culvert, which was not, as far as I know, part of the trout study, is. We have been put on notice that it is very time sensitive. So I don't think there's time to get a grant for this particular culvert. Future culverts, absolutely. I would work with you and the CAC in getting grants, and that would be
I'm
good.
not talking about the CAC. Completely separate,
okay,
I'm just saying,
right.
as a pot of money that can be used to pay for that culvert.
Got it.
Of the 413,000, which is the same amount as last year. Of that money, it's possible to use some of it, maybe not all, probably not all of it, Richard, I'm being very fair. Or maybe 70,000 of it, or 100,000 can go towards that culvert from the CHIPS fund.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
and you
All right.
realize
Like
that,
considered.
you realize that this CHIPS money, which has increased over the last few years. The reason for that to be increased by the state, and it's because of the Highway Association, you know. Going to try to get this money, because look back at my budgets and the percentage of increase per. The percentage of increase of materials and stuff. So if you take that $70,000, as you say, just 70,000 away from preventative maintenance and chip sealing roads and moving forward, as I have done for the last 20 years, progressively taking on more roads to make it so that we're not putting so much money into them, then I'm just going backwards again.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay,
Again,
thank you,
because I
thank
think
you.
So I would just like
Yeah.
to, as a board member,
Uh-huh.
I would just like to clarify what was included on this from the Cornell Local Roads Program. It says the two. Excuse me,
Okay,
excuse me.
okay, we're
The
gonna,
aggression and touching people in the audience is not appropriate.
okay, let's.
The 284 agreement must be filled out, signed, and filed before monies are spent on town highways. As a minimum, the agreement should be prepared at the first organizational meeting each year. So it's saying at a minimum. As I brought up, in the past, it would just be I think a beneficial part of our budgeting process, if we were to review project level budgets, even if they were very preliminary or in draft form, if the board could understand on a project level the monies that the highway department is spending on specific projects. We know that you do that. We know that you do that work. We know you know this like the back of your hand, right? But it would just be, I think, a beneficial part of the process so that we can understand on a project level, you know, how the money is being spent, and also so the public can understand, so we can avoid, you know, unnecessary conflict.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you. Thanks for that input. Take that under advisement. With that, I'm going to close the public hearing and I'm going to call to order the special town board meeting. Let's start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all. Thank you all for coming today. Can I get a motion to approve the 2026 preliminary budget? Then we can further discuss it need be. Can I get a motion? Steve, can I get a second? Erwin. Okay, discussion please. And thank you for the robust discussion. And then the questions. And thank you, Bob, for being here.
Sure.
In
Sure.
the last meeting, I raised that I was not included in one of the previous budget meetings, the invite. Is there a process that has been updated to ensure that I?
Yes, the process is what was included in the previous 8 agendas and in the newsletter and online. I am not the calendar administrator. That is something that I would do extra, but it's each town board's responsibility to mark their own calendars.
Okay, because in the past, you were sending calendar invites
was.
or an email, so that.
But
that is
the
not-
definitive is organizational meetings.
So the standard now moving forward is that all meetings will be listed at the end of each agenda. All
That's been the
meetings.
standard for many months now.
Okay,
Because if you-
honestly, I was not aware of that standard.
So you didn't read the last 8 agendas?
No, Mike, of course I read the addenda.
Okay, then I can't-
read them very diligently.
I'm not your secretary, the clerk's not your secretary to make sure you have a calendar that pops up on your computer so you get here. That's not my responsibility. It's here in the agenda.
I'm not accusing you of
I
anything.
tried so hard to do
I
everything
am-
you've asked for, and I think I've
I
come
am
through
not-
with glowing colors.
But
You've
I
asked for
think-
so
I
much that
think
is
you're
so.
having a very emotional reaction. All I'm asking is to clarify when
just
our
did.
meetings, where our meetings will be listed. So you're confirming that moving forward, our meetings will be listed at the end of agendas?
Yes,
Okay, and if there's a special meeting, that will be called an email.
the
Or-
listings, the regular meetings are listed in the organizational meeting on the organizational chart, included in the minutes of the organizational chart. I have now started to add a next meeting at the bottom of every one, whether special or not, just so there is further clarification. And any special meeting, the budget meeting schedule was posted as of August at the bottom of every agenda meeting.
So that's the standard moving forward.
Yeah.
So this is where I should look for it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also for special meetings that are being called,
Mhm.
how are we determining that there is a special meeting being called? I mean, we need 2 board members or 3 board members? I don't know.
Supervisor can call a meeting and or 2 board members can
Okay.
request a board meeting, the
Okay.
supervisor will have 10 days to hold a special meeting. So if you're saying you
No, I
need
see.
on this, and I say, no, you can get another board member and say, we're requesting a meeting and I have 10 days to schedule that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I understand. So
So, but
I'll look for it here
Yeah.
and then an email.
Great,
Thank you so
I do
much.
apologize, it's obviously been a challenging fall. I try to do everything I can, and if I miss something, I try to have backups, so there's always complete transparency.
Yeah,
That's my goal.
I
I
agree
really,
with that.
and I'm sorry if I was
Yeah,
emotional.
so in that meeting, the board, I guess, made a preliminary approval for the 3% increase in.
We included it in the preliminary budget.
Yeah, right, okay, but you had come to some kind of conclusion at
Yeah, and
at that meeting. Yeah, I had reservations about the increase in taxes and I wanted to explain why.
Okay.
I actually support them here in this budget, but my reservations actually reflected something that I don't think would necessarily have a vast impact on our community, but you know, there's something called a debt to equity ratio that is calculated by mortgage companies when families are trying to find or be approved for mortgages. And, you know, any small increase in taxes can actually affect the affordability and accessibility of housing. So in our community, who that affects, how it affects people, I'm sure there's not a vast impact, but again, I just wanted to point that out because moving forward, if we continue to raise taxes, again, like I had mentioned, we have a lot of exemptions. So when we raise taxes, it impacts even a smaller number of people. And it may even impact people who are not property owners yet, who would like to be in our community.
Okay.
So normally those debt to equity ratios are quite strict with mortgage firms. And so it could push someone out of their ability to buy a home here.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's a very good point. I think, since it's a percentage of the existing tax base, if you're not keeping up with inflation, it's really hard to not get really far behind really quick. It's like what happened to our sewer district, where for a decade, there was no increase, and then Supervisor Kirsten, he just happened to be, you know, in the chair, when they had to increase it by 12% because there
Yeah,
weren't
of course.
responsible, you know, incremental changes. So if we have $1 million, like had we kept up with inflation, we would have a base of 1.3, and that's fine. Sales tax has been made up. We've been financially sound, but I think there's just come to a point where you have to, if your only known revenue, your only thing you can count on, and with so little to be sure of, I just thought it was wise after a decade to say, hey, this $1 million that we have is now only really worth $700,000 because in counting inflation, and you know, it's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
I just, you know, again, like, people like us in other communities that are more densely populated, they have made these types of decisions with the same ideas for, you know, years and years and years. But look at New York State. Nowhere, there's nowhere affordable, right? So, like someone has to start questioning why the taxes keep being increased when people don't have access to housing. The housing is not affordable. And I think, you know, we cannot deny the fact that property taxes in New York State are one of the biggest barriers to entry for homes. One of the biggest barriers to entry. So I mean, beside the fact that inflation exists and prices are increasing and things are becoming more expensive, sure, that's a problem, but property taxes are also a problem in New York State.
Our property tax is 1.89 currently. That's what it's been at for 10 years.
Yeah, no, and again,
County taxes go up,
I'm
and school taxes
Yeah,
go up.
right, I'm supporting this
take your-
increase, but I think we should be
Right,
aware
and
of
we've got-
the long-term consequences of
We've got
increasing.
our housing chair on, and I'm sure she'll have thoughts later on the agenda, but thank you, but it's a good point.
Anymore?
Okay, all in favor to approve the preliminary budget as the final budget? Can I, Erwin, unanimous, thank you. Okay, thank you, that was I think we're made great strides in our budgeting this year after the first year of learning. Next on the agenda is. Okay, sewer update. It's going amazingly well. There's a storm coming on Thursday. We're gonna try to get the seed in, just a little change. Instead of the highway doing the seeding, it's going to be McCag actually doing the seeding because they have the equipment and, the mulch on hand, so, just FYI, you should know that, but the storm's coming on Thursday and we should have the grass in. Hopefully, which would be pretty much the end of the project in record time. Thank you to Richard, thank you to McCag, thank you to George. It's, I think the DEC should send us flowers. Like, I don't think this has ever happened in one of their municipalities, like the DEC says, you know, you must do this in this time frame, and we said, okay. So, thank you to the board too for understanding and following along with
And
the.
your hard work in getting the grants.
Oh, and your hard work in administering them, because it's not easy, and Emily's keeping track of all that, but I think. Just thank you to everyone. We can now take a breath with the sewer district, but there's more to do. Soon, okay, we have with us Ellen Levy from the Housing Committee. There, Chris Brown from the Columbia County Housing Task Force alerted us or Ellen to a grant possibility, but apparently a very straightforward application, and Ellen and Richard wrote us a memo. She's here to answer questions, and she has some questions for us. It is time sensitive, and actually, Richard Cumrose should get credit because he's the one that alerted the state and said, if you're asking for board resolutions, there's no way it can be done by October 25th, so they extended to November 25th. So thank you to Richard. Ellen, do you want to say something at this juncture? Can we hear her?
Oh, your mic is off.
Yeah.
You need to turn on your mic.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Okay, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, bravo.
Good. Well, actually, part of what Jamie said is a good lead-in in terms of the cost of housing. One of the most important ways to increase to deal with the cost of housing is to increase the supply. And one of the ways to increase the supply is to work on our zoning so that we can possibly loosen up ways to add additional housing units in our town. This grant application request allows us to seek up to 250,000 communities to seek up to 250,000, but we think that we would like to ask your permission to apply for between 75 and 100,000 grant for grant. And what we would propose doing is to review our zoning ordinance, as many of the communities around us have done, to just look at ways to increase supply. For example, I think, you know, I mentioned a number of these in our memo, making it easier to create accessory dwelling units, revisiting short-term rental regulations. There was a recent study done for Columbia County, looking at the corporatization of housing, which means big corporations, especially since COVID, have been buying up units, short-term rentals and houses, and therefore taking them off the market for regular folks, often raising the costs and so on. We also would look at expanding areas possibly where small multifamily buildings could be built, 1 to 4 unit buildings. And there are many other ways to encourage the creation of additional housing, and not just affordable housing, not just workforce housing, but just creating additional housing, loosening up, making it a little easier to build something new. COPIC has been very successful. They created a new law that incorporated a lot of these points. And we would like to study that. And we would also, with the understanding that the town is looking at revisiting the comprehensive plan, this could feed into it. Of course, it would be part of that, but looking at the housing section by itself is important, and I think being able to do it in a timely way is very, very important. So I think what we're asking is permission to apply. Might have a good chance of getting some money. Nothing is set in stone as to what would come out of it. There would be meetings with the community and so on and so forth. We have gotten a brief draft proposal from a well-recommended consultant. And that's basically where we are. We would love to have your support, and I wonder if you have any.
Can I ask a question? So that you would go for 75 to 100, and then it would be allocated, like part of it go to a comprehensive plan, could part of it go to something else, or like how loose are the guidelines, or but we'll obviously need to see the grant application.
Yeah, of course, absolutely, a lot of, things we would have to work out, but our initial thought was to apply for 75 to 85, which was what the consultant had proposed, and she had included, as I said, meetings with the community, various drafts, analyzing what we currently have. But possibly if we apply for more, that could be 15,000 more or 20,000 more could be used to integrate it into the comprehensive plan, work with a comprehensive planning consultant, whomever that might be. That's the thought at the
I
moment.
mean, okay.
What?
May I ask you a question? Is the beneficiary of the grant the town, or is it a nonprofit, or?
It's the town. The town would have to apply.
Okay,
The town would have to apply. That's why,
yeah,
the housing
So
committee would need your
Yeah.
permission, of course.
yeah, so I think the board would need to, based on our procedures, the board would actually need to review see the application itself. Because we would need to understand exactly what's being applied for and what those estimates.
I believe the due date is late November, so we do have a town board meeting on the 18th, which we could we have time to review and then formally approve, but yeah.
Yeah, but right now, if you could, I think it sounds like you have the board support generally.
I believe that's the case, yeah.
Yeah. There's no match for this grant.
I don't believe there's a match required. The housing committee, for example, has about $1,500 available in HECDC coffers. We would certainly, put that forward. That might make our application more, interesting, more,
Okay. I think we need the specifics.
But
Yeah,
I don't think it's required. There's anything required of the town in terms.
I think we need to see the, what is it? Well, is it they call it an RFP?
RFP,
It's a grant application.
request for proposal.
No, yeah, they do call
Yeah.
it an RFP, so we just need to see that. Usually it's like a 3-pager or something. If you could forward that, then at least we have an overview and we can confirm if there's a match or not.
Yeah, and we'll need the actual grant application. I'd be very curious to know how fluid this is, because obviously, the comprehensive plan will have a housing component, and we'll be paying a consultant to do housing workshops and meeting with the community. So what's the overlap there? And, can we use part of potentially this money to fund the comprehensive plan? So there's just questions. But if you can get us money for housing and comprehensive plan, let's go for it.
Yeah, and I would also point out, what was done in COPAC, I think, was, I guess not the entire community agreed how that was done. Because what they did is they altered the zoning code before really a full comprehensive plan update, which they're doing now. So they updated zoning code before updating a comprehensive plan with a very, very robust public process. And that is the standard, and that is generally the best practice for municipalities. So-
Agreed, which is why I'm asking about the comprehensive plan, because it would definitely have a strong housing element and housing input. So I think it's all of a piece. It's all together. It's just, I'll be interested to see the application and, how this can be used to everyone's benefit. So apparently the application is not an arduous one, and a lot of communities are not applying according to Chris Brown. So there's a good possibility here, and so we applaud you for being proactive, and please convey our thanks to the entire committee and to Richard for bringing this to our attention, and I'm glad we could deal with it soon, because it's a very tight time frame.
Yep.
So do you have what you need from us to go
If-
forth?
If there's no resolution or whatever that you need to do to allow us to go forward, of course, it will be submitted, the grant, whatever we produce will be submitted to the town board before it go, it's gotta be.
Yeah.
And for you
But-
guys, so
The application asks for a
But
resolution.
I think, Ellen, if you could send the RFP today, just so we can review it,
Yeah.
just so that there's nothing really.
The application does call for a resolution, but we can, confirm the due date is now November 25th, correct? Or it's late November, it's after the 18th, so we could plop in a resolution from the town board on the 18th.
all right.
So I think we're good for now.
Yeah, but if she could just send.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have,
You got
So,
this.
like, you want the applicant, you want the RFP today?
Yeah.
no, but that's the letter from
Yeah,
her.
the memo,
Yeah, so we received, I at least saw the memo from you, but I didn't see the actual RFP. That would be,
Okay.
yeah, from the organization.
I'm sorry, you were interrupted, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, well, I have something to bring up to the board relating to housing and also Ellen, but maybe I can do it at the end or. I
No,
can
you
bring
do
it
that.
up now. Okay.
You got it all on one.
Yeah, so I had forwarded to Ellen and the Safe at Home Committee. There is I guess, a webinar on November 14th between 9 and 1, and I was considering if we could not have that at town hall. And invite anyone who may be interested. It isn't planned yet. I just received it and it was just forwarded to.
That's a Friday?
So
Friday,
What was the date and time?
November 14th, but the hours again were,
It's from 9 to 1, just so that there's, if people wanted to, there would be a public space
okay,
in person to.
we could have,
it's, do you know how long the actual webinar is? I think
Yeah, it's from 9 to 1.
It's that long, so it's
Yeah.
4-hour webinar.
Yeah.
And what is the topic?
It's AARP's intersection of housing and healthy aging. So it's specific to Western and Central New York, but I guess we're Central New York.
capital
I
district.
mean,
Yeah.
there's just for a party catch up for.
Yeah,
Right
no,
now on
yeah,
there.
It
Thursday,
says, learn about funding strategies, case studies in housing typology and policy initiatives at all levels of government in a series of panel discussions.
okay, we can either alter your hours or give you an extra hour for
Yeah.
come in and. fit
Oh,
you.
Yeah, again, it's not final, I just thought it would be.
The-
good.
That would be great, I know. Watch the TV. Okay, thank you, Ella.
Thank
Keep
you
us
very much.
posted.
Thank
I
you.
assume that's an approval to at least, well, first of all, we have to send out the RFP. and
Yeah.
then do we need any further permission from you?
No, you can go ahead, you just need final permission for the actual, to submit the application, you need town board approval, but you need a resolution from us anyway, so you're gonna get it. If you do apply, you'll need us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks again.
Take care.
Next up, we have the solar panels. Ken's here, just in case, we need some procurement advice, resolution, can I get a motion for resolution 163 to accept the bid from Clemens Electric in the amount of 25,877 for solar panel installation at the highway garage? Steve, can I get a second? I'll second.
Oh,
That's okay. Okay. Okay, so we went out to bid, we got one bid, which was, more than originally anticipated, so we punted until this meeting, so we can continue discussions. Anybody else would like?
Yeah, so we left it at the last meeting that I had said it would be important to meet him on site before going into contracts.
Sure.
Because if there were some details might be negotiated in the contract
Okay.
based on. I sent what I believe is an as-built at the site, but I wasn't around, so
Right.
I cannot confirm that it's accurate, so I think it's important to meet the contractor on site, so we're not paying for anything that is not necessary.
Okay, and is the original contractor still around? Can you, I mean,
So,
ideally we should have three bids, but I understand that, this is.
so the original contractor has disappeared. I know that, yeah, I told you, I had been contacting him for a private project, so it's one of the few solar installers in the area, and, privately, it disappeared, so I don't know, has he still been in contact with the town?
Well, he called me a while when we first put out the RFP. And I said, put it in writing and I'll send it to you. I did. And that's all I've got. So.
Yeah.
I
So.
mean,
And I told him an email at the same time that it was out for bid and.
It bothers me a bit though, because at BidNet, there was 180 contractors in New York State and part of Massachusetts that could have bid on this. So I'm wondering.
Yeah, but
what the stoppage was.
well,
That
I'd like
had
to
no bids for it.
the feedback I'm receiving privately is that these companies have put a freeze on
You
all
said that,
estimates
yeah.
based on tariff exposure.
They don't want to do it, right?
Yeah, so I think, and also they're trying to finish their residential projects because an incentive is ending at the end of November. Bart, you may know about this better than I do, but one of the residential incentives is ending at the end of November. So everyone is like pushing these projects in to get the state money. So it's a bad environment.
Yeah, we're bad. I mean, is there any possibility of any extension with the 10,000 from NYSERDA? So if you wrote a letter saying, considering what's going on,
I could try,
cause I would hate to lose it, but at the same time, it's like,
yeah.
if it's literally the worst possible timing, and maybe they would, it's worth a shot.
It's half the tax increase.
Yeah, I mean, Ken, I asked you to log on, I mean, it's above the threshold it's below the threshold of having to go out to bid, but we did, I'm glad we did it, but we can override our procurement policy if we only got one bid and we had a good faith effort, or should we?
Well,
ideally, we should get three bids, I know that.
You're below the statutory threshold for bidding under, the general municipal law. So you're only subject to your own procurement policy here. The procurement policy for this range is to get 3 written bids to the best you can. If you can't get them, you do have to document the efforts you made. Sometimes you cannot get the number, but you have to establish that you've made a good faith effort and should document how you try to do that. Because it's not sealed bidding, just like you are trying to get people to quote, I think you're entirely free to talk to people individually, potential vendors, tell them the situation, work with them, negotiate with them. The point of the general municipal law bidding is to protect municipalities and to protect taxpayer money from not overspending. And that's why, for big projects, you have to put it out to the open. You can't, there can't be any favoritism or selective hiring. Here, you're not subject to that, but the same idea, it's to protect the town's taxpayers. So if you can talk to vendors, seek them out, solicit from them, try to negotiate with them, you don't have to just put it out there and hope they give you the best number. I think you're free to work with them to try to get it as low as possible. But you should document that if you can't get 3, that you have made significant effort to get 3.
Yeah.
So I was told after our last meeting,
Right.
I was told not to solicit.
Which is why I brought Ken. Yeah.
Okay, because I would have spent this time soliciting, and in fact, like I said, I was soliciting for a private project, which is why I'm able to provide this feedback.
Yeah.
So now I should document that for a public group in my public capacity.
Right.
But I can do that this, like, over the next 2 days, because I have the list.
Okay.
I do, based on the Climate Sparks experience, we do have a list of vendors
Okay.
who not only are qualified, but also, people know that they actually show up.
Right.
So, I can solicit them more formally in my public capacity, and then.
And as I said last time, we can have a special meeting with 2 days notice, because I know this is kind of.
What do we do with this bid? Do we say we're not accepting it and we've got?
I think we leave it on hold until we get counter bids. It's still in the mix.
Yeah.
And
only because I wouldn't care to, based on the fact that we had an estimate of around 1,500, and I wouldn't care to make an exception for this bid. I just think it's $10,000 over an estimate for 2 years ago, which is why I think we just need a little bit more legwork.
Agreed. This is what we're trying to do.
Okay.
I read through the RFP. Is there a Cliff Note version? I think, I just think it's a daunting document. I know a lot of them are, and that's the standard, but if you're going after quick bids, I think it might be to your benefit to have a cut down version, because if I got that, and I know that's what their business is, but if we're gonna go down and dirty, let's get the basics and suggestion. Take it a little bit.
But I think for this case, like I said, it's not really an RFP, it's an RFQ.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the exact spec. You
Right.
want to go outside that spec, fine, but
Right.
then you're offering, plan B or C.
Okay.
So it's specific because we already have something intact and we
Right.
need to add to it.
Okay.
And also the feedback and responses and questions we received were for more specification.
Oh, okay.
So in fact, what I didn't include is the really detailed as-bills. And so we tried to kind of summarize the as-built. Well, that's where we got the questions.
Okay, all right.
So,
I was just, it's
I
an awful lot of time, but I'm gonna get one. Sorry.
I just want to add a couple of little things. Also, when you're not in the statutory bidding, sealed bidding, you don't have a fixed deadline by which everybody has to, you're just supposed to go out and you can tell people they need to do it by a certain time, but it's not like you have this fixed sealed situation where everybody has to be operating. You're trying to get people to give you quotes. There's one other thing. What was it?
but Ken, just so you know, in this case, we have this grant submission deadline. So there is actually
all right. The second.
Sorry,
okay.
And
Okay, but what I mean is, it's not like if somebody comes in one day and somebody that comes in the next day, there's a problem with that. I mean, you can stretch this. The process basically goes on until you've got 3 bids, or until you've exhausted your efforts. It's not like you have a fixed bid submission deadline. It's like you're supposed to go out and try to get 3. The second thing is, what you could do here, it's not mandatory by any means, but what you could do, if you know there's a number that you're not going to exceed, like if you're not going to do this project, given that you get 10,000 from the outside grants and you've got to cover the rest, if you say, look, if this is going to cost us more than $25,000, we're not going to do it. and you want to decide and tell people if it's over 25, or, you know, if you can't come in under 25, you know,
We don't
it's
bother,
not
don't waste your
gonna
time.
happen. So you could give people guidance so that, one, they're not wasting their time putting in bids that you already know are too high. And secondly, it does kind of point them down to the level where you're, you know, where they need to be. If you're gonna, you don't have to do that, but you could decide that
Yeah,
you're gonna cap it at a certain
Yeah.
point.
I think with the state of affairs, that'd be kind of,
Do we
those
know?
things are so much
defeating. We don't
Yeah.
want to be defeated,
Yeah.
but I, just one more thing, don't feel defeated, but, the other problem with this project is that, you know, the lines on the garage are actually, I think, 12 across.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I believe it's 12 across. And what this project was planned for is only 6. So it's not even a full line
Right.
across the garage, which is like, painful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Especially since, yeah, we're already going, it's almost like it would be so much better if we just, it could be better if we just maybe wait
Mhm.
and fill out the rest of the roof line instead of like doing 6 at a
Piecemeal,
time.
yeah.
yeah,
Because I'm sure there's a built-in cost of,
Mhm.
you know,
oh, yeah,
at least 20%. So every time we're paying a 20% premium, we're
right.
doing 6
Well, the
panels.
other question is how much time will it take for us to get back what we're putting into it?
Yeah, well, I think that there's that part, but yeah, I think we also do it for other reasons.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I would say that, I mean, yeah, actually what do you say? The ROI is quite fast with solar.
Mm.
Okay,
Um,
so how can we help? Like,
yeah.
you got this whole stuff, can we reach out to contract, like, what do you need? Is this something you'll need
Just
this with? See,
get on the phone, I'll record, my, you know,
your efforts,
my efforts in a spreadsheet and share it with the board.
okay,
And we're gonna ask them to try to extend the grant.
nice, Erda,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
can make that, it's a long shot, it's,
Yeah,
I know, I
think it would
know,
be very difficult.
I know,
They did, by the way, they did technically extend like the first stage of the grant. They allow exceptions for like that, the
Yeah.
first planning stage, so.
I'm sure we're not the only municipality that's having a hard time getting
Yeah.
solar people to get
It's
bids.
gotta be a nice sort of approved contractor, solar contractor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brenda.
Yeah,
I'm just.
Sorry,
I
Brenda.
was just gonna say, buy the panels, buy the inverter, buy the batteries, and have an electrician hook them up.
right.
You know, it's very,
Yeah. But
if they're not solar people, then they understand that there's only a certain value per hour.
Well, if anyone in the public knows, solar
Contact me.
installer, please
Yeah.
let me know.
Okay,
I'll see if I can go up to Bidnet and get them that list out of them.
Oh, that's helpful, yeah, nice.
NYSERDA has a list too.
Yeah, nice sort of asset.
okay. All right, well, thank you.
So
Please keep us posted.
we're gonna table this.
Yeah, and again, we need to have a special meeting, with 2 days' notice. Or if we can wait till the 18th, we can do that too. Just keep us posted. A few quick budget amendments, okay, our court's, running a little short again, next year. Although, actually, no, because they have really cut their hours back, so the actual court overall line is way under for the year. Because they're being very,
They're under budget, but then.
they are under budget, but the contractual line is over budget because they needed translators and they now have a share of presence, which comes out of their contractual. Also the sidewalks, lighting line is a little low, because of an increased, electric cost. And, Safe at Home is doing this, survey, which had a cost to it, $100. I just, gave them 200 just to be safe. So can I get a motion, please? Yeah. Yeah.
We'll do a motion and then that's my question.
Yeah. Can I get a second? Okay.
So when you say the court hours are cut back, is that mean the clerk hours or the actual court itself?
Clerk, just clerk. Elizabeth is very, she doesn't have work to do. She doesn't come in. She's very hard.
and there's less work because there's less cases.
And lots of traffic tickets, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
We need a piece of the Taconic.
Yeah, go get.
The Taconic needs to come in through Hillsdale. Do you know how much Chatham and Taconic make on traffic
Even
tickets?
Gallon?
Hundreds of thousands.
I'm sure.
Quality of life,
Anyway, what?
quality of life,
I'm just saying.
doesn't have a value.
Yeah, yeah,
So that,
Yeah, sorry.
that was my question.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So there's still anybody,
I
but
got it.
next year we're gonna look at that contractual line, maybe not hire an outside auditor and try to get it down.
I got it, thank you.
Anyway,
Their sheriff,
So they're
alone
fine.
between 250 months,
It's a lot.
any other discussion on the budget? Okay, all in favor?
maybe a little more.
Irvin, was that a yes? Okay, any other, business before the town? Next meeting day is Tuesday, November 18th. That's our regular town board meeting. I did, change the time of the organizational because the county organizational will probably be at 3 p.m., but, that's tentative also. We'll keep the same meeting schedules, well, this will all be decided in the organizational meeting, so. The current plan is to keep the same schedule as this year, second Tuesday in January and February to avoid the holiday weekend and the Association of Town conventions, which was on those holiday weekends, and then move to the third Tuesday of the month to give space between the county meeting and to give Bob more time to give us the financials on a monthly basis. Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Okay, thank you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you for your input. I'm learning with you.